everyone, selamat pagi semuanya. I hope
Selamat
my
pagi.
voice is clear enough. So we would like to welcome everyone, our speakers for today, and also our participants for today's webinar with our theme, COVID-19 Beyond the Pandemic Issue, Moving Up from Traditional to Digital Classroom. Before we start this webinar, may I request everyone to please stand for the singing of the national anthem of Indonesia and the Philippines, and to be followed by the doxology in Islam and Christian. Kepada semua peserta, kami ingin memohon untuk bisa bangkit berdiri. Kita akan menyanyikan lagu kebangsaan Indonesia dan lagu kebangsaan Filipina, dan dilanjutkan dengan doa secara Islam dan Kristen.
Indonesia tanah air, tanah di sana aku berdiri dari Indonesia kebangsaan, bangsa yang
Doa sebelum belajar.
Alim. Rabbi zidni ilman warzuqni fahma. Artinya, ya Allah, tambahkanlah aku ilmu dan berikanlah aku rizki akan kepahaman.
Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise Him, all creatures here below. Praise Him above ye heavenly hosts. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You may take your seats. And now, to officially open this webinar today, let us hear the opening remarks from the Education and Culture Attaché, Dr. Lily Nurlaili.
Thank you, Mbak Manet. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everybody. Magandang umaga, sa inyong lahat. Selamat pagi semuanya. My Honorable Dr. Margarita Consolation Ballesteros from Department of Education, Director of International Linkage. Yang saya hormati Bapak Alfa Amir Rahman dari Muhammadiyah, dari Dikdasmen, Sekjen. Yang saya hormati Bapak My Honorable Dr. Marco Meduranda from Philippines. Yang saya hormati Bapak Nur dari Muhammadiyah, SMA 1 Muhammadiyah Jogja. And then all of the participants until now is 150. It's too big, too much, because this theme is very interesting for them. The participant is from teacher from Philippines and then teacher from Indonesia, especially teacher from Muhammadiyah. Thank you very much. This is the second time for me for Attaché Education and Culture Indonesian Embassy in Manila making this webinar collaboration with Muhammadiyah, Dikdasmen Muhammadiyah. And then we are making a lot of webinar again for next week until next month together with Dikdasmen Muhammadiyah. And I hope this webinar is useful not for teacher in Muhammadiyah or Indonesian school, but useful for Philippine school. And I hope this webinar can implementation to your class and your school, because the theme is about digital classroom. Right now we are still using digital because for the offline maybe it's very difficult right now. Thank you very much. Terima kasih. Dengan mengucapkan Bismillahirrohmanirrohim, webinar internasional tentang digital classroom merupakan webinar series kedua antara Muhammadiyah dengan kantor Adikbud Filipina saya buka. Bismillahirrohmanirrohim. Maraming salamat. Terima kasih.
Thank you so much, Ibu Lili Nurali, for the opening remarks. And now today, our webinar with the theme COVID-19 Beyond the Pandemic Issue, Moving Up from Traditional to Digital Classroom is officially open or start. Now, to begin with, we have a keynote speaker. For our keynote speaker today, she was the curriculum maker and developer from the Ministry of Education and Culture for more than 30 years. And now she is appointed as the Education and Culture Attaché of the Embassy of Republic of Indonesia, Dr. Lili Nurlaili. To Dr. Lili Nurlaili, you may start your presentation.
Thank you, Mbak Manet. Terima kasih. Today, my keynote speaker is about learning innovation through digital classroom. This is, I'm sorry. This is the data, the education in Indonesia. Kindergarten is around 8 million, basic education is around 40 million, and senior education 10 million, and higher education 6.2 million. All of the education, all of the school, all of the teacher right now, they have data from Ministry of Education, because we are still using online teaching and learning. There are several views that lead to the definition of digital using e-learning, including e-learning is the convergence between learning and the internet. E-learning uses strengths and work relationship, especially it can happen deep. E-learning is the use of technology workborne to design, deliver, choosing, organizing, and learning. E-learning is learning that can occur in the internet. E-learning is dynamic, operates in real time, collaborative, individual, and comprehensive. E-learning is sending something through electronic media, including internet, intranet, and etc. E-learning is the whole variety internet and web technology to create, transmit, and facilitate e-learning. E-learning uses strengths and work relationship for learning anywhere and anytime. In the end, electronic learning can be defined as an effort to connect learner, student with learning sources, database, expert, teacher, or library, who physically apart or even far apart. Interactivity in the relationship can be done directly, synchronous, or indirectly, asynchronous. The internet will indeed be used in learning setting at school because it has distinctive characteristics. Namely, first, as an interpersonal medium as well as media that enable one-to-one and one-to-many communication. Second, has an interactive nature. Third, and allows communication synchronous or delayed asynchronous. So that it allows the implementation of the three types of communication dialogue, which is a prerequisite for the implementation of teaching and learning process. Several things that need proper attention and handling so that the implementation of the use of the internet for learning can be successful. Namely is first environmental factor, which include education providers and the community. Student or learner include age, background, culture, language, acquisition, and various learning styles. Third, the teacher or educator include background, age, teaching style, and experience, and personalities. Technological factors include computer, software, network connection to the internet, and the various capabilities required relating to the application of the internet and school environment. First is institution. The most basic thing in the application of the internet in school are motivation. readiness, and seriousness of the institution, which is manifested by the comprehensive policy, including policies for changing teaching method, policies regarding management and procedure, policies and internet access, and so on. Because all of that is the main key to successful utilization of the internet for learning in the school environment. Public, the closest environment that greatly affects students in using the internet are peers or peer group. This environmental influence even bigger than the family circle as the result. Yeah. Research Min Harjito 2001, which show that from friends, they first learn the internet, teach the internet more deeply, and get encouragement to use the internet. It means friend is very important thing. Number 3 is teachers. Teachers need to be given an understanding of the various benefits, including advantage and disadvantage of using the internet for learning. So they have motivation and commitment are high enough. Teacher, either later we have act as developer and user as well, which is projected as an internet-based learning system manager, must equip it with awareness, insight, knowledge, and skill about internet. Teachers who will be involved in the development and use the internet for learning should have experience and teaching ability enough. The number of teachers who will be involved in the development and use of the internet for learning, it should be tailored to the needs and done step by step. Teachers must have a commitment and seriousness in handling development and the use of the internet for learning. Maintain the teaching style of each teacher because it will be mirrored in the way they learn later in the learning system with the internet. And then student, learning system by utilizing the internet will be developed, should pay attention to differences in the characteristic and target segment of student. Or in other words, it is necessary to develop a system learning that best fit to target segment of the student being fostered. And 5, technology. Whether communication in the context of learning will be carried out online, offline, or a combination of online and offline. How fast is the required access? The bandwidth of the relationship is determined what will be distributed, text, graphic, audio, or video. Connection from the network to the student. The choice, of course, according to the type of communication to be carried out, the material to be distributed, and of course, the fund available. Terima kasih, maraming salamat, selamat berwebinar. Wabillahi taufik wal hidayah, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih, Mbak Manet.
Thank you so much, Ibu Lily. Terima kasih, Ibu, for your presentation. And now we will proceed to our guest speakers. For today, we have 4 guest speakers. For the first speaker, allow me to read a little background of our first speaker. For our first speaker, he earned his Master of Philosophy in Education from the School of Policy and Practice from University of Sydney, Australia. And he earned his doctorate of Philosophy and Social Science from the Amsterdam Institute for Social Science Research. And as of now, he's been appointed as the director of Siameo Siamolek from January 2019 and up to present. And also he is the secretary from the Primary and Secondary Education Council of Central Board of Muhammadiyah. The first speaker for today we have here, Mr. Raden Alfa Amirahman. To Mr. Alfa, you may start your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much for the time and for nicely introducing me, Ms. Moderator. Good morning, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me start sharing my presentation. Can you see this?
Yes, sir.
Second. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, honorable speakers, and also Ibu Lily, yeah, thank you very much for allowing me to be with you this morning. This is a very nice morning. So, today we are going to share our best practices, which is about the challenges of learning from home during this pandemic. We have three segments or three landscapes that we would like to elaborate later with these uh, changes. Yeah, first is technology, second is sociocultural, and third is environment. With the technological disruption, this is happening in all sectors. We can see the implementation of automatization, artificial intelligence, and big data, the use of connectivity 5G. This makes possible for technologies to be connected with each other, yeah, like automatic vehicle, drones, etc., 3D printing, smart wearables, augmented and virtual reality. And we also uh, see the changes in demography, profile of economy, and world population. We are witnessing the increase of life and work expectancy. We are also witnessing the growth of migration, cultural diversity, and middle class, the increase of the emergence of consumer awareness toward ethics, privacy, and health. And the environment, we can see also the increasing demand for energy and water and decreasing natural resources. These are the changes, the global changes that we are witnessing right now. However, yeah, the COVID-19 accelerated the changes. Yeah, we can see now maybe about 1.5 billion students, yeah, are now staying at home. Yeah, they cannot go to school. They have to stay at home, to avoid the spread of the coronavirus. And because of these, the changes that I've just mentioned before, the digitalization, it is accelerated. So the COVID-19 accelerated these changes. In education, students learn from home, and schools also, particularly private schools, they suffer for financial constraints. I joined last webinar with Adikbut also, and then I learned also the experiences from schools in the Philippines, that many of them, particularly private schools, suffer for financial constraints. And this is also happening in Indonesia. The same thing also is happening to private schools in Indonesia. And work accelerated digital access for all industries, or more and then more demand for digital skills. And then the policy to deal with this COVID-19 in Indonesia, first, the priority is health and safety of students and teachers. This is the prime, yeah. This is the most important priority, is that people are still healthy and they are safe. So in order to this, to be achieved, then students and teachers need to stay at home. It is almost impossible to have a face-to-face class when the COVID-19 is still spreading like now. And then the government also focuses on three aspects: literacy, numeracy, and character educations. So these are the priorities that the government have been trying to promote, during these emergency situations. And there is no need to complete full curriculum. Yeah. And there should be also remedial for left behind students, because of the slowness of the delivery of teaching, because due to this emergency situation, maybe students, there is a possibility that the students are left behind. So there should be remedial for them, and relaxation for teacher teaching hour. And there's also a relaxation of the curriculum. Yeah, so teachers don't need to really complete full curriculum. So there are only three aspects that teachers need to pay attention: literacy, numeracy, and character education. So what are the current driving factors of transformation in education right now? First, two factors. First is Industry Revolution 4.0. Second is COVID-19. So these two factors are intertwined. Yeah, they are affecting each other, and they are giving a very big influence to education. The Industry Revolution 4.0, I don't need to explain. This has been explained many times, and you can see this in everyday life. Yeah, Internet revolution also. Yeah, we are now really transforming. Yeah, we have cloud technology, we have Internet of Things, intelligent machines that really understand you. Yeah, big data. Yeah, this should be, if we combine them together, then this become Industry 4.0 factory, I should say so. And since students are now staying at home, they learn at home, they are implementing distance learning. Yeah. So, but this is not a distance learning in a normal situation. This is a distance learning in an emergency situations where students, schools, teachers are not really well prepared for this. Yeah. But however, in open and distance learning, yeah, we can see the evolution, how it's been changing from time to time, starting in 1880, first generation distance education, open university. It was done by correspondence only. And then go to mainstream higher education in 1990 when internet was coming. Yeah. And then in 2000 beyond, yeah, there's an experiment of blended online learning, autonomous self-directed learning, yeah, and synchronous online learning. So they try to combine in online and offline education with blended online learning, and then MOOC or MOOC. Yeah. So this is the evolution of distance learning, and we should understand this because we are one way or another, we are now implementing distance education, even though it is in an emergency situation. So we have to understand that distance education is not only based it's not only internet based. Yeah, it can also be module based. Yeah, so learning from home, yeah, is not only internet based. I think I should emphasize that because people sometimes misunderstood that we don't have internet connections, we don't have these facilities. But distance education, or learning from home, it's not only about an online learning. It can be mixed. It can be also a module based. So this is a distance learning mode, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it is divided into two: online and offline. Yeah, online is using learning management system, and offline is using module. We should combine these modes so that then try to adjust it to the situation of the students and teachers and the availability of facilities of the schools. This is students' learning style. Yeah, before we have this. In Indonesia, it is called sabak. Yeah, I remember when I was very young in my grandmother's house. My grandmother gave me this, to write, to make a calculation of mathematics. But now we also have a digital sabak here. Yeah, we have a tablet right here. So this is the changing and the evolution. So how does COVID-19 pandemic change education landscape in Indonesia? At the school level, there are many major changes. The cancellation of national exams, final exam for junior class would be replaced by online tests, home assignments, the use of TV education, we're using also television, yeah, national televisions and Rumah Belajar, and many other platforms that have been used and promoted by the government for people or schools to use. That is in school level and higher education level. We are maximizing the use of online learning system program for higher education, 70% remote learning, and 30% meeting for practices and practicum with health protocol, less density, less contact, no crowd, and 3 semester of campus learning. This is the policy of independent campus or campus Merdeka. So the pedagogical practice in the normal is less contact, yeah, to create excellent student with characters through collaborative and competitive academic culture. We have new mindset, online learning, off-campus learning, lecturers as agent of change. Yeah, if this is at a higher education level, and also new attitude and behavior. Yeah, we have a soft skill, leadership, nationalism, a new way of doing things, entrepreneurship, creativity, innovativeness. Yeah, and learning how to learn, yeah, lifelong learning. So these are the pedagogical patterns in the normal and less context with three things, yeah, new mindset, new attitude, behavior, and new way of doing things. So adapting learning practices, yeah, before from school to home, teaching to learning. Yeah, we can see the difference. Yeah, when it is a conventional class, you know, students are gathering with teacher explaining, and then when it is learning from home, yeah, you have to be, you have to stay really focused, you know, because a lot of things going on at home. Yeah, you can see the brother is studying very seriously, but his sister is applying handstand behind him. Yeah, so this can be distracted. So people need more focus and serious attention when learning at home. And this is the current educational ecosystem, ladies and gentlemen. Students, you know, with computer in front of him or her. Yeah, she is studying, and we have facilities. He's also communicating with lecturers and experts, and supported by the parents. Yeah, and then also learning resources, learning outcomes, learning experience, learning resources, and then interacting also with other students. This can also happen, yeah, when applying a distance education, particularly doing with the use of technology. So the interaction is still happening. Character building also is expected also to still happen. Yeah. So learning environment, real versus virtual. Yeah, I think I already explained this before. Yeah, this is the current ecosystem now. Yeah, real versus virtual, and learning through media. This is the flow of communication between teachers and students via media. Yeah. And how about Muhammadiyah? Muhammadiyah vision of education is the development of Muhammadiyah's primary and secondary education functions, include schools, madrasah, and Islamic boarding schools based on Al-Islam Muhammadiyahan, holistic, integrative, well-managed, competitive, and high quality. This is the 47 Muhammadiyah Congress in 2015. So this is a challenge. This is was composed, of course, in a way, yeah, before COVID-19, yeah, but we still have to adhere to this, yeah. This includes holistic, integrative, yeah, of education, yeah. So not only cognitive, but also psychomotoric, yeah, and also character educations. They are all in one unity of Muhammadiyah vision of education. And this has to be answered, has to be adhered, even though we are now in an emergency situation. So this is a challenge for Muhammadiyah schools. Yeah. This is Muhammadiyah response. Yeah, I apologize. I cannot change this because this is in JPEG. Yeah, but this is in Bahasa Indonesia. But we have a total about 292 billion. We already gather these donations, you know, for to help ease the impact of COVID-19 among Muhammadiyah institutions, not only schools, but also hospitals. Yeah. This is also the response of primary and secondary education councils. We are introducing a digital platform, and this is the number of students that are using it, number of registrations. This is also not going really smoothly, you know, because of the facilities, yeah, of the the students and schools, you know, very much vary. So we are still improving this. And we also give survey, yeah, among Muhammadiyah schools. Yeah, most of them, they are, yeah, they admit that they are applying 81%. They are applying online learning. Yeah, but what kind of online learning? Of course, you know, it has to be in detail. Yeah, let's see later. Yeah. So most of them are striving, yeah, striving to do, to implement internet-based distance education during this emergency situation. Most of the schools, 81%. And this is what happened. Yeah, they are using. They admit that most of the school are using online learning, but mostly use application is WhatsApp. Yeah, Google Classroom only 17%. WhatsApp on the 73%. This is the mostly used application. Zoom only 3%. Google Form only 3%. Yeah. So it doesn't guarantee that the interactions, the ideal concept of distance education, where interactions between students and teachers is still happening. I don't think this is happening in this case, because most of the teachers are using WhatsApp. So when I interviewed and then talked with them, you know, they use WhatsApp to give a message, to give instructions to students, you know, to do certain tasks, you know, to read certain pages, to do certain tasks. So in that case, it was a little bit too much. Yeah, teachers give lots of assignments through WhatsApp, and then students feel this is a burden. Yeah, so they are not really happy at the beginning. But as the time goes by, teachers understand, you know, what's going on, and they learn a lot through webinars like this. You know, how to make a lively video conference, good interactions among students, how to use Google Classroom, how to use Zoom, etc. Then I think it's now improving. But this survey was conducted at the start of the pandemic, where people really panic, and they strive to use online learning, and then WhatsApp is the only application that they had at the time. Facilities used by students, most of them are using laptop, handphone, yeah, computer to present at home. So laptop and handphones, students are using them a lot. Internet connections, what's up? I cannot see this. Yeah, can you see this? Yeah, this is the platform being used. Yeah, most of them, they're using Edumu, TVRI, National Television. They're using Learning Home, Rumah Belajar, TVmu, Ruang Guru, and others. This is platform that is being used. Parent support from home. Can you see the table, Ibu Lili?
Sorry, Bapak, from my end, it's cut.
What happened here? Okay.
Bisa ditolong Icat? Ya, ini Pak.
Okay. Yeah, I think I don't need to. Yeah, the platform used, yeah, like this, and then parent support of learning. It's 60%. 60% of the students need to be accompanied, yeah, by parents and also, of course, teachers. Even though it is a distance learning, 60% they still need guidance. We have to understand this is the level, school level, yeah, primary and secondary education. If it is at the university level, yeah, they are adults and they can work more independently. But in the case of primary education, primary and secondary education, 60% of the students, they still need to be accompanied by parents and guided by teachers. Curriculum achievement. This is the start of the pandemic. They are still optimistic that 80% can achieve full curriculum. 8% believe that they can do it, and 9% believe that they cannot do it. Yeah, but the government has already issued a decree, yeah, that there is no need to fulfill full curriculum during this emergency situation. And financial matters, particularly because Muhammadiyah are private schools, yeah. 39% they said that they will pay the administration fee, yeah, but 35% they propose, yeah, propose not full, they propose a discount, yeah. Because why? Because they think that the children don't go to school, they stay at home, yeah, and some of the times they don't study, yeah. So then they propose, yeah, to have a discount of the school payment. And this is also becoming a financial constraint, particularly for uh, private schools. So major challenges, ladies and gentlemen, is how to achieve equitable access by minimizing the digital divide. I think we propose development of technology, information and communication infrastructure should be a priority for the government. The development of public and private collaboration to expand digital access, especially for the people who are badly affected. Yeah. Second, how to realize holistic integrative character education with an educational landscape like this. This is a challenge, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, during one seminar, for example, some of the teachers, ask about this. How can we develop students' characters if they don't see us? Yeah, if we don't see face to face. Yeah, this is a conventional way of thinking. Yeah, I think we should be innovative. Yeah, digital literacy development for educators, students, and families that therefore is important. Yeah, development of content, methods, and evaluation of digital learning that contains religious values. Yeah, local wisdom and nationalism have to be explored. So this is a learning pattern for successful students. Yeah, we have professional teacher. We have also character aspects, character building, spiritual values. Yeah, this cannot be avoided. This has to be adhered to, even though during this emergency situation, we need to build the character of the students. And the learning aspect of 4C, we should also pay attention to this: creative thinking and innovation, critical thinking and problem solving, communication and collaboration, and literacy aspects, ICT literacy aspects. This contributing to successful students, particularly now during these emergency situations. Yeah. Now the character development, ladies and gentlemen, that we come to realize that character is not just about doing the right thing in an ethical sense, it's also about doing our best work. If that is true, then character education is not just about helping kids get along. It is about teaching them to work hard, teaching them to develop their talents and aspire to excellence in every area of endeavor. Yeah. So next, please. Character education through distance learning. This is a big question. How can we have a character education with distance education? I think I have found sources here from one book, The Phenomenon of Character Development in Distance Education course. It is very possible to have character education through distance learning. In summary, let me read this. The instructor and students perceived that the students had experienced character development in a variety of ways. First, performance, character traits, and strengths of self-discipline. So they have self-discipline, self-directness in learning, analytical and deeper approach to learning, imagination and creativity, appreciation of literature, motivation to continue their education, and self-confidence. These are the character traits, the performance character traits and strength that can be developed through distance learning. Second, moral character traits and strengths of increasing moral desire, enhancing moral discernment, and moral courage. So this can be also developed through distance learning. Third, relational character traits and strengths of open-mindedness, sharing learning with others, improving communication with others, improving relationship. This can also be managed and nurtured with distance learning. Even though that it is students are not seeing each other offline, through online, they can have a dialogue, they can have a communication, they can have small groups to discuss topics as assigned by their teachers, for example. So this can also happen. And the last one is spiritual character trait and strengths of humility, faith, hope, and charity. This can also be developed. This is based on the research by Johnson and Williams in 2010, that character traits like this can be nurtured, can be developed, through distance learning. So there is no excuse anymore, that teachers cannot develop students' character because they don't meet each other. That is a conventional way of thinking. We have to face these situations. Then we have to be innovative and creative, to make sure that our students get the most of their learning experience. This is an example of character education with distance learning mode. For example, we have the character traits: religious, nationalist, independent, mutual cooperation, integrity, respect, discipline, responsibility, caring. And then from Monday to Saturday or to Friday, before the lesson, making the bed, praying, exercising at home, helping with household chores, helping to prepare breakfast, preparing for distance learning. This can be done with the help of the parents. So before the lesson starts, there are values that can be nurtured, with the role, with the function, the role of their parents. So and then during the lessons, distance learning activities with character education integration. For example, perform presence. Make sure that students are in the attendance list. They have to sign. They have to share their locations. This is also kind of a self-discipline that can be nurtured. And then praying, and then performing distance learning. Sending assignment on time, for example. This is also a kind of character traits that can be nurtured during these emergency situations. And then after the lesson, it doesn't mean that this lesson stops. Learning still continues with the help of their parents. Daytime habitual activities, help with household chores, helping their mothers, rest, and then play, do some positive activities like sports. And then afternoon habits, do independent tasks, doing exercise at home, maybe do some positive fun hobbies, and then help with household chores, helping their mother, helping their parents at home. And then the evening habits activities, helping with household chores again, cleaning the house, evening worship, preparing for the next lesson with the help of their parents, and taking a break. So character education with family, interaction with family and parents, playing positive activities, developing hobbies, sports, social projects with friends or family, with due observance of health protocols indeed. So this is an example how the challenge of character educations can be managed, can be answered, and can be nurtured during this pandemic, during this emergency situation of learning from home. And then we hope that after the pandemic, all of these positive activities can be maintained and developed further to give the most benefit to our students. Thank you very much, Ms. Mary, for giving me the time. This is all my presentation. I hope that this can be beneficial for everyone. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Bapa Alpa Amir Rahman, for your presentation regarding the challenges of learning from home during the pandemic. During the presentation of Bapa Alpha, he mentioned that in Indonesia, because of this pandemic, the national exam is canceled, and also the classes before they do it in a face-to-face, but now they do it via online and using other technologies or other platforms. Example is the using the television as well. And also, as per Bapa Alpha mentioned, that because of this new normal, the students may adapt new mindset, new attitudes and behavior, and also new way of doing things. And since Bapa Alpha is also from Muhammadiyah, they do this research and they gained 81% response from the students for this online learning. As we all know, it's not 100% because during this pandemic, we have many challenges to face. And also in this distance learning, Mr. Alpha also mentioned that the student and teachers may develop performance character, moral character, relational character, and also spiritual character. So again, we would like to say thank you very much, Bapa Alpha Amir Rahman, for your presentation. And now we will proceed to our next speaker. For our next speaker, she is the Director 4 of the Department of Education from the Office of International Cooperation Office, Dr. Margarita Ballesteros. So, Doc Marge, you may start your presentation. I'm sorry, Miss Marge, we cannot hear your voice.
Salamat pagi. Can you hear me now?
Yes, po.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone, to our friends in Indonesia, to the officials of the Ministry of Education Indonesia and that of the officials of the Embassy of Indonesia. Salamat pagi, Your Excellencies.
Selamat pagi.
And to our honorable guest this morning from the Ministry of Education in Indonesia, and of course to our dear teachers here in the Philippines, magandang umaga and magandang buhay. So I would like to thank Ibu Lily, Dr. Nurlaili, for the invitation to share what the Philippine Department of Education is doing in terms of what I call migration from the usual face-to-face to now digital learning or online learning, or we also call the other way, blended learning. So may I request
I'm sorry, ma'am, you're muted.
who's sharing my PowerPoint, please? I'm sorry about that. I was saying most governments around the world, they have temporarily closed educational institutions in an attempt to contain the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. First slide, please. And as of yesterday evening, around the world, the COVID-19 cases have reached to like around 40,455,651, with 1,119,431 deaths, and that's around the world. In Southeast Asia or in the ASEAN, Indonesia has 365,240 cases, while the Philippines has 359,169,000. Why am I mentioning all of this? Because if we have to look at the number of cases that have been struck by COVID-19, let us also think how many of these cases are our teachers or our learners. We have yet to collect and to get to see the data wherein how many of these hundreds of thousands around ASEAN or millions around the world, how many teachers and how many learners have already been affected or maybe also have perished or have died. And it's an interesting part or interesting point of research because these are the bases wherein we are also some kind of to do something on how we can restructure and transform our education systems at the same time our education delivery. As per UNESCO Institute of Statistics as of last night, there are 562 million in 30,000 plus affected learners by the pandemic and 33 countrywide closures. So you can imagine how affected our schools are and also our learners. And I believe you are going the same thing, you're going through the same experience in Indonesia, same as ours here in the Philippines. Off to the second slide, please.
I'm so sorry, Miss Marsh, you are mute.
Third slide, please. Thank you, Manette. First is the availability of devices, which is a limiting factor for or of technology-based approaches to learning. Second is access to reliable and stable internet connectivity still remain a challenge with this new normal. Third is teachers need to be trained, they need to be retooled on using technology as an alternative mode of learning delivery. Fourth is an early grade levels need to be closely supervised by parents in the use of technology as they do their learning tasks at home. Fifth is senior high school vocational tracks or our TVET have classes that require hands-on sessions, and it was also mentioned by our colleague from Indonesia earlier, in laboratories that may not be applicable for home-based approaches, even with technology. And last is the distribution of learning modules to students located in far-flung areas. All these things that are mentioned is actually remained as challenges as we are adapting and migrating into this what we call the new normal. We have heard the sharing from Indonesia that they also use that of the television, the radio broadcast, online learning delivery modalities, and all of those things we know for a fact that we're also doing it here in the Philippines. Next slide, please. As of yesterday, for our national enrollment, we have around 24,822,492. And this is for Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. And for elementary, we have 11 million, almost 12 million. For high school, junior high school, we have almost 8 million. And for the alternative learning system, we have like around 403,000. And for the senior high school, almost 3 million. And for kindergarten, we have almost 2 million compared to that of Indonesia, wherein I think the basic education is only 40 million already, including the others. I'm sure there's less than 100 million learners. And I can imagine how humongous the challenges are. And yet, you are one of the countries who are really very privy in using technology. Friends, apologies for the background because I am here in the northern part of the Philippines, so you could hear the chickens and the dogs and the sound of nature. So apologies for that. Next slide, please. So given the fact that can you move to the next slide? Yes. For the Department of Education, in order for us to provide, next slide, yes. In order for us to provide a clear guidance, not only to all the offices, but for all the schools and community learning centers in the Philippines, the Department of Education, with the learners, parents, and stakeholders, DepEd developed what we call the Learning Continuity Plan. The slide before this slide, please. Or we call it the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan, which is a package of the education interventions that will respond to basic ed challenges brought about by COVID-19. And in developing this BELCP, DepEd engaged external stakeholders for inputs for its design, for the learning delivery strategy, and its operational direction that ensures health, safety, and well-being of learners, teachers, non-teaching personnel of the Department of Education, which this is actually available online, and you can search a DepEd order number 12 series of 2020. And what are the principles behind the Learning Continuity Plan? I understand Dr. Marco Medoranda here will walk us through how the LCP later on has been implemented and or is being implemented, because Marco is one of those who actually was on the ground and tried to dissect how it is going to be implemented at the local level. So first is the protection for our learners and teachers on their health, safety, and well-being. Second is the DepEd ensured of the learning continuity. Our secretary has been saying its own mantra, our own DepEd's mantra, that learning must continue and that learning should never stop, no matter what pandemic, what kind of pandemic or what kind of calamity comes along. Next is the facilitation of the safe return of learners and teachers to school when face-to-face classes will already be allowed, and that is already a table for discussion. Next is to be sensitive for its equity considerations and concerns, and it endeavors to address the best as we can. And fifth is linking or bridging the basic education learning continuity plan to that of the department's pivoting to quality for the future of education, and that there's the framework of what we call sulong edukalidad and the future's thinking in education. So there are a number of things happening on the ground. Next slide, please. What are these key components of the learning continuity plan? First, there was a streamlining that took place from K-12 curriculum to the most essential learning competencies, or we call it MELCs. Second is a consideration of the multiple learning delivery modalities with blended learning and distance learning as major options. Third is the preparation of teachers, school learners, parents, and community for multiple learning delivery modalities, wherein there were sessions also through webinars, through online platform, where parents were oriented on how to do the home-based learning. Because basically at this point in time, all over the world, the parents are the ones assuming the role of the teachers. So here in the Philippines, they would say, ang sumasahod, pardon me to be saying this in Tagalog, ang sumasahod ay ang mga guro, pero ang nagtuturo ay ang mga magulang. Meaning, the teachers are the ones receiving their salaries, but we parents are the ones teaching. So there is some kind of question on fairness, on the on the responsibilities. But basically, if we try to look at it, their parents, both here in the Philippines and in Indonesia, don't you think it's also high time to look at how you can best teach your children in a way you think you would want them to be? Because in the first place, the first schooling happens in the corners and in the comforts of your home. What kind of kids they are, what kind of children they are, what kind of individuals they are outside in the social world when they interact and engage is a manifestation, is a reflection of what kind of individuals they are. They were raised by their parents. So that is just one way of giving it back the responsibilities to the parents, because we keep on bugging and nagging our teachers that they should be doing this, doing that, doing this, doing that. Come on, at this time of the pandemic, I agree personally, this is the best time to see how parents do their part and how parents can really teach their kids according to how they want them to become. You want them to be good? Then be good as well as teachers, because our teachers have been doing their best and are doing their best to really deliver that kind of quality that we expect them. So we also want quality from our parents, so to speak. Next is to a requirement of the health standards in schools and workplaces. These are all considered. Fifth is on the reconfiguration of the Brigada Eskwela, Oplan Balik Eskwela, and partnerships. All of those things fall under our activities in preparation of the opening of schools. But they were also considered in the learning continuity plan, and of course, the finance part and the procurement and delivery of materials, and the monitoring, evaluation, and adjustments. And one of these things, um, aside from the key components and its principles, next slide please, is actually what our president um, articulated in one of his speeches when he said, we must implement online learning, modular learning, and TV and radio-based broadcasts, which is students coming from different backgrounds can avail, and that the Department of Education will provide the printed modules for those who cannot afford online learning. That's how it is on the ground here in the Philippines. But it's just an update on the ground. There are now TV stations, radio broadcast stations that are helping the Department of Education deliver its learning materials with the use of all of these things that are mentioned earlier. So what are also the readiness components? Next slide, please. We looked at enrollment. You have seen we used to have almost 28 million, but now at least we have 24 million, almost 25. Next is on the curriculum. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, the competencies were lowered down in numbers. Then we have the blended distance learning modalities, learning resources, assessment, teacher training, resource mobilization, health standards, and of course, the regional contextualization. From kindergarten to the third grade, we do use at the department our mother tongue based. So if you are from the north, where I come from, we do use Ilocano. And in the Visayas, they use the Visayan language, and in Mindanao, there are other languages. But basically, there are 19 local languages that are used for their materials from kindergarten to the third grade. And I put here Friends, DepEd works 24/7. I have never seen a department in the world at this time of the pandemic. It's not only here in the Philippines, but I believe all ministries of education all over are working 24/7. So if our students do work on their learning tasks at night, they are also in touch with their teachers. And if they do very early in the mornings, my neighbors here, like around 6:30, kids are back on their study desk because their lessons begin also as early as that. And the same thing is happening in the metro. Next slide, please, is on blended distance learning modalities, wherein actually lessons are now delivered this way in the comfort of their homes. The department has printed modules, others are in digital format, and online learning happens, and it takes place through our DepEd Commons, which has started as early as January this year. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, television and radio-based instruction. I can never imagine our teachers who are also becoming broadcasters, and that the classrooms, the offices of the Department of Education get converted from time to time as a broadcasting studio. The tables of our regional directors, the corners of their offices have become places where there is a shoot that takes place for radio broadcasting or even television broadcasting. So those teachers were really working so hard just so both the modules and also the television materials and that of radio-based instruction, it's one of a kind, which I think personally this has never happened before in our own wildest imagination, and it's happening now because we are now taking part in an era. We now live in an era as teachers, not only because of the slowly creeping end um, in the fourth industrial revolution, the presence of the artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, and all of those things, but basically, next slide, please, the digital transformation in education that is happening is actually improving our teaching pedagogies, our teaching styles, to really make use of technology and digital learning platforms. Next slide, please. And it enables us to strengthen the ability of education systems to nurture digital literacy and transferable skills for all children and young people. So with this, I would like to share what DepEd has done and is still doing for this digital transformation or migration from the printed text, which our kids can just carry within their bags when they go to school and they go home. But at this time, with DepEd's initiatives on promoting digital literacy, we have had the Digital Rise. Next slide, please. We have the Be Cyber Safe project. We also have the Cyber Drive Expo, which took place in 2019. We have the DepEd TV and radio. Next slide, please. We have the PEN, which is the Public Education Network, wherein it's a project between the Department of Education and our Department of Information and Communications Technology that aims to modernize the education system and make Filipino graduates more competitive in the international market. And our own DepEd Commons, which is an online platform to support the continuous delivery of basic education to Filipino learners. We also have our DepEd Learning Management System and the electronic self-learning modules, which are used by teachers and learners, those who would like to adopt into the online classes as the modality by which learning could be delivered. Next slide, please. We also have the TV School, which serves as a bridge for access to quality education for learners, especially those in more economically challenged circumstances. And we have the DCP, the computerization program of the department, which was initiated to replace the existing computer laboratories with the mobile labs containing tablets and laptops that can be moved from one classroom after the other. And recently, we had the what we call DepEd Error Watch, wherein we welcome everyone who have seen the modules, especially those our parents or our partners, and we can still look into those self-learning modules and materials so that um, they can be acted upon appropriately by the different offices so that correction and validation could take place. So that has been launched, I think, 2 weeks ago. We call it the DepEd Error Watch. The education deliveries at this time of the COVID-19 is not only DepEd's, it's everybody's business, because education is not only for ministries of education to deliver, but it is for everybody, because education is everyone's business. For my last slide, this will be some sort of reflection. Before the slide for thank you, I think this has been missed with the PowerPoint I sent, but I would read. In an era where technology is utilized more than ever, our teachers have become more creative and productive. Our learners are challenged, but this is the way to go forward for the future where humans compete and cooperate with the product of artificial intelligence. Whether we like it or not, education of the 21st century is only and will only be possible with the community and technology hand in hand. So with that, I close my sharing this morning, and thank you for listening, everyone, and thank you to the Embassy of Indonesia. Terima kasih.
Thank you so much, Dr. Margarita Ballesteros, for your presentation. As Dr. Marge mentioned from the presentation, we can say that Philippines and Indonesia have the same strategy on how to handle these problems and challenges by using or maximizing all the possibilities, using all the technology and platforms that our country have. And also, we can say that even though we're facing this pandemic, there's no the student will never stop learning. So as we can see from the presentation a while ago, that there's still around 24 million students who are enrolled in this semester amidst this pandemic. And also we can we know now that since we have this via online, now the teachers is not only the teachers itself, but also the parents. It becomes the teacher of the students. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Margarita Ballesteros, for your presentation. And now let's proceed to our next speaker for today. For our next speaker, he is the Education Program Supervisor from Schools Division Office of Navotas City, Dr. Marco Domanais Meduranda. To Sir Marco, you may start your presentation.
Thank you so much, Mary Ann. Wait, I'll just share my slide. At the onset, I would like to thank Dr. Lily Norlaili for this opportunity to share with you the initiatives, the work of the Department of Education here at the Division of Navotas. I would like to also recognize our dear director, Director Margarita Ballesteros. She's right now in the DepEd hierarchy. The action is in the schools and at the division level. So I will be sharing how we operationalize the policies of DepEd in terms of the learning, the learning continuity plan. And I would like to also greet all of our esteemed guest speakers. Once more, thank you for this opportunity, and I would like to greet all the teachers who are now watching via Facebook Live and on this Zoom platform. I hope this will be a good way for us to develop and grow more professionally as we navigate in this new normal landscape of education. So I entitled my presentation as Going Digital in Blended Learning, Embracing the New Normal. I would like to give credits to our teachers at the school level because I have Dr. Ballesteros is really right now when she mentioned that our teachers are really doing their best. Based on my monitoring and field work, I can say that teachers, no, the load of the teachers have been, I feel doubled, no, because again, this is a very different context now, wherein our teachers work from home, and the nature of blended learning, the nature of distance learning is very, very complex, no, and so we are all, navigating, and we are all coping with this, and it's very important to acknowledge the small successes that our teachers were able to do, no, in the service of our learners. So here's the outline of my presentation. I'll share to you the brief context of the division of Navotas. Okay, we are in the capital, the national capital region, but again, every cities have different contexts on how we operationalize distance learning and the digital learning per se. And then I'll be sharing with you how we implement our distance learning delivery modality and some concrete strategies, shared by our teachers that shows various digital platforms to support distance learning. So first, all our actions, all our decisions, of course, are guided by the Department of Education Central Office. So that's the organizational level in our education system, where in the national level, at the national level, they provide policy guides all the schools in the country, and we are guided by DepEd Order 12, Series of 2020, when it comes to how we are going to ensure learning continuity for our learners. So we adopt the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. This was discussed, by Director Ballesteros. And in terms of the use of digital platforms, or the promotion of digital learning or digital classroom, we are guided by DepEd Memo 2020-00162 from the Curriculum and Instruction Division at the central level. And depending on the peculiarities of regions and in our specific context in Navotas, we were able to devise our own modality based on our context or data. And then at the regional level, we are also guided by our regional offices because they are the regional office contextualize or do policy contextualization. And this slide comes from our regional director, Director Malcolm Garma, wherein there is this tall order for us to really rethink and re-articulate our work in the Department of Education, especially here in NCR, in terms of the new landscape of education towards better and relevant learning. And at the division level, like what I have told you, per city has this division, the division office that oversees or supervises the schools, And in the city of Navotas is located at the northwestern part of Metro Manila, I'm so happy that Dr. Lily, no, Nor Lily, um, was able to visit no, our simple city. She visited two schools, Navotas High School and San Roque High School, but her staff were able to visit four because of our Project Place activity and the intercultural education on batik making. So thank you, Ivo Lily, for supporting our efforts here in intercultural education. So it's a simple city, but as of this day, may I share to you the number of enrollees? We have 50,299 students, no, in all of our 15 elementary and 9 secondary schools, and despite the occurrence of the pandemic, we were able to obtain a 5%, no, 5% increase in enrollment. Now, and I guess that's a recognition that parents are supporting the division's effort, the school's effort to ensure safety, but at the same time learning continuity of their children. And our schools are manned by 1,644 teaching personnel. And in terms of our learning delivery modality, no, based on our survey, 44% of our parents prefer modular distance learning, and also 28% told that they have resources or they have access to technology to do online distance learning. Okay, so based from this data, and you can also see here the graph on household members who can provide support in distance learning, we were able to design the distance learning delivery modality that we adopted in the division. And so in the division of Navotas, we adopted the blended learning modality, for a kinder to senior high school, no? And this blended learning modality is composed of two components. We have the modified modular distance learning. Okay, this is our contextualization of modular distance, and even though this is modular, in approach, it has some digital component also. So a modified modular distance learning is an individualized, this is an individualized instruction that allows learners to use self-learning modules. We have developed the self-learning modules even before the school year start, and we've been very proactive in the development of these self-learning modules, and these are printed or in digital format, very accessible to our learners. And it is modified in process as teachers will use mobile messenger chat or text or SMS to monitor and track the learners. So we do not just give modules, we embed in the process this monitoring system through messenger chat. Messenger, we know this is like WhatsApp, but it is from Facebook, Facebook Messenger. For those learners with access to smartphones. But to households with no smartphone, just pure basic phone, we also follow up through SMS or simple text. And we developed this Navo School in a Box. This Navo School in a Box is our form of learning resource packets, wherein all learners are given the following materials so that they can have school in their homes. Well, they do home-based learning through distance learning delivery modality. This resource packet called Navo School in a Box contains textbooks, alternative delivery materials, ADM modules, and self-learning modules by DepEd, modules and other materials prepared by the SDOs, worksheets prepared by the teachers, lesson guides for parents and guardians. It's very crucial that our parents are also guided in this process so that they would know how to assist. In SDO Navotas, we always allay this apprehension, this anxiety of parents that they are the ones who will be teaching. Now, though in the pandemic, there's a much greater proportion that they will be supervising, and for lower grade levels they will be learning. They will be teaching their children at the lower grades, K to 3. But we are giving them a lot of guides, no, a lot of way to guide them through these lesson guides and study guides and other supplies, no, like school supplies and hygiene kits. And then we also have the online distance learning. For the first quarter, no, for the first quarter of the year, this modality will be used as support or reinforcement strategy to modular distance learning for learners who have access to technology. So the online component of our blended learning modality is used for relational, no, relational purpose, meaning to say it's not for hardcore teaching already, but what we want is it's a form of kumusta, or just checking out, no, following up and following through on how the learners are doing with the modules. Okay, and so let me explain to you further this delivery modality. So we have modified modular. It could be in printed or in digital format. Those who have access to technology, you know, they can download the digitized modules. And so for both modality, no, we are using also asynchronous resources to support our learners. And in this material, I called it, I obtained it from teacher Fatima Robles, no, wherein in the online component, no, FB Messenger is used, no, where they upload for kindergarten, upload asynchronous video lessons, and use other online classroom platforms for kumustahan. No? Kumustahan, it's our way of again checking, no, monitoring, and for really somehow ensuring that our learners, no, are also coping well with these changes, these drastic changes in their education. And one thing that we would like to emphasize here, no, and what we are doing in SDO Navotas is we are empowering our teachers to really to contextualize furthermore, you know, and to really look into the data of their respective classroom in terms of how are they going to further enhance the use of this asynchronous and synchronous technology to enhance the learning experience of their learners. So for instance, this graphs, no, this is at the classroom level, no. I got it from teacher Jenny V. Antonio of Navotas Elementary School, and at her class, she did this survey with the parents of what are the technology access of their households, and from this, she devised, no, ways on how to further contextualize, how to make learning more flexible for their for her pupils. No, she's handling grade 1 students. So here for the synchronous, we know that this was mentioned by Dr. Lily. It's the use of this technology that will provide you real-time access to information. Okay, so we use live chat lessons like Facebook Messenger and video conference, Google Meet or Messenger for learners with access to technology. And then for asynchronous, okay, this is a more flexible platform because you can learn, no, at your own pace, at your own time, at your own convenience, no. So the teachers use Facebook or private groups as social learning units, and then the use of Google Classroom and QR codes, no, for assessment, etc. Okay, so I would like to share this with you. I guess this is one of our best practices here in Navotas, the division of Navotas, no. So we have this. We capitalize on this very familiar communication technology, no, Facebook Messenger. Okay, I was surprised that in Indonesia it's WhatsApp, but here in the Philippines it's Facebook Messenger. Almost all people, no, probably 9 out of 10 have access to a Facebook Messenger here in the city. So we encourage our teachers to come up with a demonstration of a video simulation contest on how to use Messenger as a tool in distance learning, and we were able to get outstanding outputs, no, and we were able to develop video simulation for kindergarten, no, for junior high school, and for elementary, and even for senior high school. So this video simulation just shows how teachers can use, no, yeah, there are these instructional videos. Okay, instructional videos on how to use Facebook Messenger as a digital tool, no, to reinforce home-based learning. But I would like to share with you this one from teacher Maria May Sevilla of Kaunlaran High School. Here, and she was able to explain how to use Messenger Classroom, no, in to support distance learning for junior and high school learners.
I know that distance teaching is a big challenge for us, but do you know that you could teach without breaking a sweat using tools that are accessible to teachers, parents,
I
and
would like
students?
to acknowledge that also Teacher May is now, no, she was chosen as one of our teacher broadcaster, no, deaf ed teacher broadcaster for the entire country. So this teacher is really full of potential.
I am
So here,
children's packets as a confirmation.
okay, so you see here that she created this messenger platform, okay, the section, the class, okay. Of course, there should be orientation first, no, before using this platform with the parents, because we are also sensitive with the cyber security of the learners, especially for lower grade levels. But this has become a very, very accessible platform for our pupils and our parents, because Facebook Messenger is free. You know, it has free data. So even if you do not have load, learners can access the files that teachers will be submitting here. Okay. So just for the purpose of, for the interest of time, so you can see here that there's already the conversation, and even the submission of the materials are the outputs, the learning outputs of the children are also shared, no? So this is also one way of checking the assessment results of the learners, okay, through Facebook Messenger platform. So thank you, Ms. Teacher May. So again, this is just one tool, no? Here in SD on Navotas, we, as much as possible, we make things simple. We harness familiar technologies, no, so that our parents and learners will not have this great difficulty in navigating on the use of technology. So here you can see, you know, Teacher Nino Bacerdo from Navotas High School following up how the learners are doing with the modules through this platform of Messenger Classroom. Okay. Here we can see Teacher Jen, again from Navotas Elementary School. She uploads a synchronous video lesson on the Messenger, okay, and the Messenger, and then learners, no, submit their outputs. Actually, these were videoed by their parents, so there's consent, no, from the parents, and this is a closed group, no, so that the security of the learners are also secured. And besides Facebook Messenger, our learners, our teachers, okay, and most of our learners are also familiar and have great access to Facebook. And with that, we use Facebook group page as a learning management system. No, while we are waiting for resources to come, no, we are repurposing Facebook groups. We are ensuring, our IT experts are ensuring that we follow, again, cybersecurity protocols whenever we're doing this. And this has to be very, very secured online learning management system. And we have here Teacher Grace Valverde. No, she simulated the use of Facebook group page, no, as, you know, how you can repurpose it for repurposed it for social learning. So here, for Facebook group, she can establish routines, attendance check, topics and objectives, pre-test, lesson, even the lesson proper, especially for senior high school learners. No, they have very easy access and very intuitive. No, very intuitive technology for learning. No, and then she also posts tests and assignments. No, so in this video, you will see here. Okay, she created this this room. No, and she edit the group. It should not be the usual Facebook group. It has to be a social learning group. Okay, has to be a social learning group so that all the security features of a classroom will be put in place with the Facebook. And on the units, no, she can upload there the digital copies of the modules. Okay, she can for attendance of those who are online, no, through all these polls. Okay, and here, okay, she also uploads her videos, video lessons on the group. Okay, and what's good about Facebook, no, at least if it's viewed on the mobile phone, it does not consume much data. Okay, it does not consume much data, which our learners like, because I mean they're saving data with the use of this platform. So with the creativity of the teacher, no, she was able to conduct pre-test and post-test and use this very common platform to promote learning. No, actually we've been really looking into it, and I asked the teacher to conduct action research on the use of Facebook group page as social learning units to promote engagement in distance learning. Okay. And our teachers are also very, I want to share the creativity, no? They are also developing lots of video lessons for offline learning. And these are being saved now, no, on USB OTG and USB drives. Our city government has procured more than 50,000 USB OTG, so that all of these video lessons that we are creating can be accessible to our learners, especially to K to 3 learners. And this is an example, no, of a teacher. No, this is a teacher developed in our division. They have been very, very passionate, no, in terms of promoting this, creating this video lesson. So you have here.
Ending of a story. This is one of the lessons.
Of course, the video lessons, no. The video lessons are anchored on the most essential learning competencies that was earlier discussed by Director Marge. So it's nice to know that our teachers are now having the ability to create this kind of materials, right? Video lessons, so digital learning materials for our learners. And we have been also using Google Drive, no, for electronic portfolios. So you can see here's the list of learners, and then the modules, no, the outputs for the modules are being uploaded. So there's this electronic way, okay, digital way of accessing the outputs of the learners without, you know, them going into the schools, nor because again that's not allowed yet, no, by our authorities here in the Philippines. So the use of Google Drive, no, here shows that electronic portfolio can be really used in basic education. And even on as no supervisors, we can check the weekly home-based learning plans of our teachers through Google Drive. No, we just go into that link and then check the weekly home-based learning, and we can provide technical assistance there. So here's some. I taught schools, no, in our division how to set up this online lesson plan repository, okay, by department. I'm a supervisor of the English curriculum. So here, the English department, the subfolders, weekly lesson plans are put there, and other further instructions. We have been also guiding them, no, with this monitoring of assessment results, so that we want to see week by week if learners are really learning, no, how are they engaged. Actually, on the first week, no, like what the first speaker has mentioned, no, in our experience, the first week has been very, very tiring, no, because again, it's the first week of schools and it's the first week to try out the modality. But as weeks goes by, there is really an improvement, no. Teachers now are learning how to manage, you know, the loads, or meaning to say the assignments given to the learners, so that teachers and learners are not overwhelmed, and even parents, you know, with assignments and learning activities. Okay, we also manage manage quality assurance process through Google Drive, okay, with these modules. And we even know our supervisors here in the division, we go to the community. Okay, we want to check how learners are doing with their home-based learning and distance learning. We interview parents so that this thing would be a continuously improving process. We want to surface the gaps and other challenges in distance learning so that we approach this this situation in a continuously improving way. And we always elicit feedback from our learners and from our teachers on how we can ensure that distance learning will be implemented very well in the division of Navotas. And so, like what I've been telling to our teachers here, teaching in the time of pandemic is like building the plane while flying it. Building the plane while flying it is an idiom that captures the feeling of risk and uncertainty that accompany designing innovations and testing them in real time with actual participants, all while being responsible for keeping existing operations running. So this is what's happening in DepEd. No? So again, with the principle of continuous improvement, this might be a challenging scenario, a challenging landscape, but with all the stakeholders collaborating, joining us, we were able to implement a whole of DepEd approach and the whole of community approach here, thanks to our very innovative schools division superintendent, Dr. Alejandro Ibanez, and our assistant schools division superintendent, Ma'am Isa Sibel Sibayan. We were able to maximize human resources. We do a lot of brainstorming every day to ensure that learning continues and that we are continuously improving. And so, like in the division of Schools of Navotas, learning continues. And that's the mantra also of our secretary. Learning must continue because there are many ways to learn. Again, thank you for the opportunity to share with you these things that you're doing here at the Division of Navotas.
Thank you so much, Sir Marco, for sharing your presentation about how you handle this online learning in Navotas City. So you mentioned that in Navotas, you are more on having this blended learning, sir. And in Indonesia, a while ago, we can see that in Indonesia, they use the WhatsApp application, while in the Philippines, especially in the Navotas, they use this Facebook. Yes, Facebook and Messenger. Again, thank you so much, Sir Marco, for your presentation. And now let's proceed to our next speaker for today. For our next speaker, he earned his master's degree of English education from Ahmad Dahlan University and his bachelor degree of English education as well from Ahmad Dahlan University. He started as English teacher at SMA Muhammadiyah 1 Yogyakarta from 2011 up to present. And he was chosen as well or appointed as the Deputy Principal of Public Relation Affairs from 2019 up to present. Now, without further ado, let us hear the presentation of Mr. Tri Hari Nurti. Kepada Bapak kami persilahkan.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Mary Antoinette. Thank you for Ibu Lily for inviting me. and the previous speaker, Pak Alpa, Dr. Marco, and Director Ballesteros for sharing this session today. So I represent I'm representative of SMA Muhammadiyah 1 Yogyakarta, representative of teacher, especially for from Muhammadiyah. And here in this presentation, I'm going to share about our practice in SMA Muhammadiyah 1 Yogyakarta Senior High School for this occasion. All right, without any ado, um, our topic today about sustainability of our education in the pandemic, and can help me to show my presentation.
Yes, for a while.
Okay,
Wait,
Miss Mary, can you help me for my presentation?
Yes, sir.
wait, sir.
We will. Okay, our operator will share it in a while.
Okay. Um, what I'm going to deliver in the session is not something new. So but I hope this presentation can be a reminder for all of us, the stakeholder of educations. And again, what I'm going to deliver to you is not also a sophisticated theory like the previous speaker shared in the session. And then in the session, I won't be talking about which is superior between a traditional and the online classroom. And also, I will not talking about a sophisticated tool which already presented. So here I'm going to start from a basic concept of education and school, from something in common sense. Next slide. Okay, so what I'm going to start is that the concept of education and also the concept of school, and we are going to comparing in this situation the sustainability of our education, whether our education run well in the situation with all the way we have. So I start from the basic concept, education and school. And the definition of education I took here is the definition of education from dictionary, Merriam-Webster Dictionary, Cambridge Dictionary, and online dictionary, dictionary.com, and Wikipedia. So why I don't take from some expert to define the education. I'm going to start from the common sense. Why dictionary? I choose dictionary because everybody can access easily. So in our discussion today, we have common sense, we have common awareness about what we are going to achieve, what we dream of together. So this is the definition of education, and this is our starting point to analyze and reflect how far we go with our education, especially in this pandemic era. Okay, so based on the fourth definition in the dictionary and also from Wikipedia, uh, I summarize into diagram. Yes, so from this definition, I show you, I simplify in the term of diagram. So the meaning of education, we find out the word process. So in the word, the process is educating, teaching or learning, imparting or acquiring, developing, preparing, facilitating learning or acquisition. That is the process or in the idea of education. And also, so it consists of three parts. And also there are some matters, what is going to be taught, what is going to be educated. So usually or generally, the matter about education is about general knowledge, powers of reasoning and judgment, skills, values, belief, and habits. And from this process, we are going to go to a certain goal. So generally, we have intellectual for mature life goal. And every institution, every organization may have a different goal, how they conduct the process of education. So from this simple definition of education, from this common sense, from the definition from dictionary, I, I, I found I want every one of us to analyze, to reflect how far we conduct our education, and especially in during the pandemic. Mr. and Madam Speaker, I want you to underline boldly about education. Education is not about deliver or educate people with a general knowledge, but there are a lot of things the other about general knowledge. That is skills, values, belief, and habits. I do agree with Pa Alpa said that the goal or the matter of education, especially in Indonesia, is teaching literacy, numeracy, and character building or character education. That's the three matters we are going to pursue in our education. And during the pandemic, we have some obstacle, or maybe it is a challenge for all of us to face it without ignoring the ideal of education itself. And that's our starting point, and we can reflecting this to our condition of our school. And this is to be a starting point for all of us. Okay, next slide. Okay, so that's the concept of education. And now I'm going to go to the idea of school. And the definition of school also I took from the common thing which can be accessed. That is from Wikipedia, Cambridge Dictionary, and Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Okay, school is an educational institution designed to provide learning space and learning environment for the teaching of students, pupils under the direction of the teacher. From this Wikipedia, we find out there are three parts: education institution, and teacher, and the material. And also the two definition from Cambridge Dictionary, I found a place where children go to be educated. And number three, an organization that provides instruction in the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. So from this definition, if we took a diagram, so this is a diagram of school. School consists of three parts, generally: learning space, learning environment, a place, an organization, and direction, educating, and instruction. That's the words I found in the three definition, and also the teacher. And if we simplify this word, so learning space, learning environment, a place, and an organization is the term for place, and direction, educating, instruction, it is we simplify it as material or curriculum, and teacher, educator, and it is closely related to the pedagogy. Okay. And this is the school. Okay, now common belief of schools, Mr. and Madam Speaker. People believe school is an accelerator of education process. This is the ideal description of education or school. And school is a social engineering instrument. All right, now we try to break down, back to the previous slide, pardon. Sorry, the next one. Yes, this one. Okay, school is an accelerator of education process. Mr. and Madam Speaker, so school is still believed to be the place who can make our generation be better. So that's why our parent, in no matter what the condition, still giving the best effort to send the kids to the schools. And now in this condition we face some challenge with the ideal we have in my previous explanation about school and education. Can we maintain the ideal in this pandemic? So this is our discussion. what we are going to talk, comparing the previous situation, traditional to modern, to modern or online schools. Okay, can we go to the next? Yes, school in pandemic. Our topic today, moving up from traditional to digital classroom or online school. So this condition is a challenge or potential. All the previous speaker is already talking about the potential we can elaborate and the challenge we face in this situation in the pandemic. So online and traditional learning both have their advantage and disadvantage. But in this occasion, I won't be talking about which one's superior, but I will be talking about how we figure out and try to over a solution from our best practice in my school to dig the potential during the pandemic. So, however, one thing is for sure, to maintain our education process, online education is here to stay and its demand is on the rise, especially in pandemic. In my school, SMA Muhammadiyah 1 Yogyakarta, actually we already implemented online classroom. Yeah, we already have a learning management system, but in the previous before the pandemic, it's not our main platform because we still have conventional traditional face to face, even if we already had a learning management system. And this pandemic, I also agree with Pak Alpa said, so it forced every part of us, every stakeholder in education uh, to get along with this condition. So pandemic to be the accelerator for every part of education to use this platform, online school, even if in the previous era between the pandemic, online school has already in demand. The existence of online school has already risen up, especially in the varsity level, in the university level. And before I start to, this condition, especially in maybe in both countries between Philippines and Indonesia, we are talking about what we already share is the ideal condition of online school in the pandemic. So in my opinion, in this pandemic, the school divided into two conditions. The first one is the school is still busy getting along with this condition. What is that? Uh, they are still busy in progressing or in making the platform, the suitable platform in doing online school. Like Pak Alpa said in the previous speaker, that most of the user in school online in Indonesia using WhatsApp. So why the rate of using WhatsApp very high rather than the other application? It's showing us that digital literacy or online school is not really familiar in some school. So they use a very familiar application, just like WhatsApp. And in my experience, WhatsApp just consists of a bunch of tasks. So the teacher only give some tasks through WhatsApp and the students doing the task. So the model of this kind of online school for the student is like a bunch of, a bunch of tasks. So that is why the using of other application or the using of the tool is on demand. And some condition of in education, they are still get along with this condition, even if they already use such as Google Classroom, Zoom, Google Form, and stuff, and the other stuff. So this is the first classification of condition of the school. The second one is advanced school. The advanced school, the condition is the school already familiar or advanced with the technology, so they are able to use many kind of application such as Google Classroom, Zoom, Google Form, and maybe the other application. So the job of the school is maintaining the ideal of school, how they deliver not only knowledge, but also deliver integrated, holistic, integrated character education, like we are going to pursuing together, like Pak Alpa said in the previous speaker. So that's what our striving for, what our dream of together. School is not only the place to deliver knowledge, but also the place for ideally a wisdom to our students with all the things. Uh, so that's the two condition of the school, especially during the pandemic. And we are going to analyze together. We are going to figure out in my next presentation how to solve this condition by comparing, but not showing which one the superior. But we find out, we try to find or figure out this condition to be a good, still good atmosphere for our students. Okay, next. Okay, now I'm going to comparing online versus traditional education. So like I already told you before, so uh, this condition force every part or stakeholder accelerate the using of online from the previous condition. All right, Mr. and Madam Speaker. In this presentation, I'm going to compare in the four aspects: flexibility, discipline and self-motivation, social interaction, teachers and parents' role. These are become a major problem during the online education. Okay, next. Next slide. All right, so online versus traditional education in the idea of flexibility. So as Mr. and Madam Speaker already know, from online education, with online school, students do attend some fixed schedule event, such as real-time lesson in the virtual classroom, but they have a much higher degree of flexibility about where and way they complete their studies. This allows them to enjoy family time, hobbies, travel, sports, and other activities without missing school or falling behind in their studies. Well, Mr. and Madam Speaker, what I show you this about the condition of online education school in ideal condition. So ideally, online education can do this. And I will compare with the reality, what we face with the idea of flexibility and comparing with traditional education. So generally speaking, this is the best option for students who have little more freedom in their schedule, while parents have little to no control over traditional school schedule uh, or learning environment. Traditional school teacher can set the routine and have the flexibility to cultivate Okay, this is the difference, Mr. and Madam Speaker. In online school, and like our school doing, also SMA Muhammadiyah 1, we do just like in the way we do is not really different with the traditional education. What is that? We have some fixed schedule event. What is this? Students have to attend every day, but we use the media like Google Classroom. We still have face-to-face meeting, or maybe the student can access the video from the teacher using YouTube. So the students can access, the learning or the subject matter flexible anytime. And in the idea of online education, if we use online platform like Google Meeting, maybe the students can follow the lesson in the bedroom, in the garden, or in any place which they feel comfort. So so this is also the benefit for the students, right? And also they have a lot of time to do the other activities. And during the pandemic, we have fixed schedule event, but in the pandemic, our time shorter than the traditional education. The lesson process starting from 7:30 to 11:30, and every day we deliver 3 subject matter. three subject every day, and we have a daily routine, a face-to-face meeting, but in the platform of Google Classroom. But the difference is that they are doing the lesson uh, in more comfort place, which is they like, in not only in one room, just like in the traditional classroom. So this is on the idea of the flexibility. Then our problem mostly find in the idea of flexibility is that for school usually not really familiar with the idea of Google, of digital classroom. uh, it needs this condition can be achieved if all the school, if education institution have strong facilities, have strong accessibility to the internet. So this online education on the idea of flexibility is something very good. But now I try to reflect to the idea of uh, what we call as the holistic integrated character education. The question is that can online education deliver moral, moral education is a holistic? So in the previous speaker said, actually there is no problem. So no excuse for us. Pak Alpa said no excuse for us if we are not able to implement character education. But for some reason, this is also a challenge to be achieved, because in online education too, we can control the focus of our students. We can control every time whether the student follow the process of learning in good focus. Because what we face in our experience, let's say in our Google Classroom, when we ask the students to open the camera, let's say, because we want to know about how the condition of the school, some of the students, still not really obey the instruction of the teacher. Yeah, and I think this is a common problem when we ask the students to open the camera, but the students do not open the camera. Maybe they are they are shy to show about what they are doing. So this is also the challenge for us to make sure that the students really follow the teacher's instruction. So also this is our weaknesses. So in the general description, the strong involvement of teacher is very demanded. The involvement of parents in this case have huge impact to the success of online educations that I'm going to talk it later. So this is the description, or also this is our problem we face. So sometimes teacher have difficulties, in make a good condition for the teacher. If we are busy in the beginning of the lesson by conditioning students to focus, so we are going to wasting time, because it takes a lot of time to condition the students, while during the online education process we have shorter time than traditional educations. So in our school we usually have second options. So teacher not only have face-to-face meeting, but teacher are also demanded to create a video. That's why the students can rewatch or can open to evaluate what the teacher already delivered or already show in the classroom. So also this is to be a challenge. What is challenge? Like in the previous speaker talk, the challenge of the teacher, the director of Ballesteros also said that the challenge for the teacher is to be a broadcaster, to be a video maker, to be a content maker. This is a challenge. What is the challenge? How the teacher deliver the material through the video, but the video should be interactive and interesting. And also this is using the pedagogy system today we already familiar with KineMaster application, for example. We are familiar with Sparkle, Video Scribe. We already familiar with Plotagon, a video. So I have an interesting experience. Once my friends told me, he said to me, wise word ever said, if you write, if you want to be an eternal, you have to be a writer. Because if you die, your writing will still be read by all the people. But in the pandemic, if you want to be an eternal teacher, creating a video. Because why? Because this video very benefit for our students. They can play again and again about the material and the challenge, how the teacher can create interactive, interesting video. And also this is using a pedagogic, using a pedagogy to deliver or to making video in an interesting way. Okay, next slide. Okay, online and versus traditional education, discipline and self-motivation. The impact of online students during the pandemic, I divide also, this is very significant influence in the idea of grade. Maybe for elementary school and junior high school, this is a very trouble for online, online education. Because why? Because in online education, we need discipline and self-motivation. So if the teacher do not have any option to deliver the idea, if the school do not have mechanism control to make it the education run well, our dream about the ideal education is really difficult to be achieved, especially for the lower grade. So that's why the challenge is how we deliver the interesting material and how home parents have mechanism control to make sure that the education process run well, make sure that the students on the track of the education process. So the challenge to keep the self-motivation is on the track. Like online education, the increased flexibility on online learning comes with a bit of trade-off. Students need to be highly self-motivated. All college class require students to keep up on required reading and assignment, but some students may struggle to stay motivated when learning from the comfort their home. This is the challenge, Mr. and Madam Speaker. But maybe online learning good in the grade of senior high school, or maybe in the universities level, because the mature men, maybe senior high school like us, they already have a major, so they realize about what they do. They realize about right and obligation of the students do. So this is our challenge together. And I also find, especially this is a problem of especially in the junior and elementary school, that the teacher complain about the condition of their kids, because also the role of the parents, also like the role of the teacher to educate the students. And we have to consider also this, Madam Speaker, in online, especially in the lower grade, the background of the parents. They have different education level. Maybe the background of the parent, they have lower education, and some parents have high educated people. So it is going to be a different output from online education. So this is also become our attention, the different background of the parents. So this is also the considerations. So online education, maybe it is maybe slightly easy to be adaptable in the varsities and also maybe senior high school because of the condition of our students. Okay, next slide. Okay, social interaction. So also this is something, social interaction, very different. In online education, we have less social interaction rather than traditional education. In my school, every morning, the teacher stand in line to greet the students, shake hand with the students. We are waiting for the students in the gate of school. We shake hand, we greet the students, and maybe give some advice for the students who is not dressing well. So this is a first touch that we can do in the traditional education. And also this is a good atmosphere for the students to start or to begin the the process of learning that we cannot find in the online educations. And then in social interaction in the class, maybe we experience how we get mad when the students not really pay attention on us, and we directly give advice from the students. So so social interaction is very crucial in especially in the traditional education, because remember, I think and I still believe uh, modeling is the best approach to give specially character education for the students, because we see 100 advice is going to be lost by only one's model. So this is also our homework. Yeah, how the touch of the teacher and students we can do still warm even on the platform of online. um, uh, how teacher give modeling a good example, how the teacher modeling the material is very crucial. Even though we can still do it in the social interaction, but maybe the teacher cannot elaborate all approach, all pedagogy in the platform of online education. So this is also our social, this is also our challenge. And even maybe in this approach, we can figure out, like I already told you, to make it video, interactive video, interesting video, and also it needs teacher creative. The teacher demanded to be more creative in using digital, in using and aware about digital literacy. This is raising this condition is raised up and on demand, Mr. and Madam Speaker. And the next slide. I'm sorry, next slide. uh, yes, online and traditional education, teachers and parents role. So we cannot deny online education, the significance of parents' role is very huge rather than traditional education. In traditional education, maybe this is also we face the condition. Um, this is also the common paradigm that the teacher or parents just let the students go to the school and let everything and let the process. This is the responsible of the teacher, and somehow this is common sense in the traditional education. The challenge of pandemic is that we have to shift this paradigm suddenly uh, to 180 degree. A teacher that usually not really care with the students because parents do not really care. Parent previously do not really care with the condition of the students, because they just let the students go to school and let the teacher organize everything, right? So but in online education, the role of the teacher increased significantly. They become also the guidance, they become also people who is responsible to make sure that the online education run well. So this is also a challenge for all of us, for the stakeholder. So this in our school, we really pay attention on this. We connecting the teacher anytime. So homeroom teacher usually have obligation every day. We from the counseling we report, for example, the attendance of the students. So keep in touch between homeroom teacher, counseling, and parents in house is very crucial. So involvement of the two part of this is very crucial. The three part: school, teacher, and also parents, very crucial. So this is on demand. How we increase the role, parents' role, uh, in this process still better in order to achieve the dream of education, the ideal of education we all together dream of. All right, next slide. Okay, so before I close, I tried to quote uh, uh, the words from Isaac Asimov. So he is a biochemistry expert that all the world knows about him. He once said, the saddest aspect, the saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom. What is that? Our condition today, Mr. and Madam Speaker, science. Internet is the product of science. By using internet, people easy to gather knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom. What is this wisdom? We see today a lot of smart people. Everyone easy to access knowledge, but people don't have wisdom. People still easily blame who is right, who is wrong. When we find problem in our society, we don't find the solution, but we are busy to judge who is right, who is wrong, without thinking how is the solution, what is the problem. So this is not wisdom. So that's why this is also our together challenge. How the ideal of education in different condition online, but we still pursuing. We can, we can make it dream come true. The ideal of school, the ideal of education, not only delivering knowledge, but delivering wisdom. So student, also we can create a better people from a better individual and also a better nation and the next better generation. And I think that's all what I'm going to present in this presentation. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much, Bapak Tri Harinudi, for your presentation. As we all know, this pandemic, because of there are a lot of changes, as mentioned by our speakers, that before we have these face-to-face classes, and now we have to turn it or change it into online. So it's not only about how the way we teach, but also there are a lot of changes in our lifestyle as well. Again, we would like to say thank you very much to all the speakers we have today. From Dr. Lily Nurlaili, thank you as our keynote speaker. And also thank you very much to Bapak Alfa Amir Rahman for our first guest speaker. And also to Miss Margarita Consolacion Balesteros. And also to Dr. Marco Domanaisme Duranda and Bapak Tri Harinudi. Again, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge to all of us here in this webinar. And now we will proceed to our next session. For our next session, we have the question and answer session. So please allow me to read the questions here in the Q&A. Again, to all the participants, if you have any questions or clarification, please do not hesitate to type it in the Q&A. Kepada semua peserta webinar ini, jika ada pertanyaan mengenai paparan pembicara kita, harap dapat diketikkan di bagian Q&A. So for our first question, we have this question from from Tamim SMK Muhammadiyah 1. The question is addressed to Dr. Alfa. Until when we study from home? Karena belajar di rumah, khawatir ilmu yang didapat tidak maksimal dan siswa lebih asik bermain HP di rumah. Bagaimana solusi adaptasi guru dalam menangani siswa yang candu HP jika sudah belajar normal di sekolah? So the question is, until when this study from home? Because maybe some of the parents are thinking of the future of their children, because as we all know, there are differences the way they teach in the classroom and also in home. So Bapak Alfa, maybe you can give us some enlightenment. Bapak Alpha. Or
Mungkin
maybe
pertanyaan yang lain.
okay, Ibu. Or maybe we can ask the other speakers.
Yes, maybe the other speakers want to answer.
Yes.
Can you listen to me?
Yes.
Can you listen to me, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, because I have technical problems with this Zoom. I cannot see the pictures, but you can listen to me, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the questions. Until can you also see my video?
No, sir. We can only hear you.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. I have technical problem with this. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much for the questions. Until when that we are going to be like this. I think we have to understand that the vaccine hasn't been available yet. So I believe for a quite certain, a period of time, yeah, we are still in this kind of situations that we have to be at home, and students learn at home. Yeah, but I think there could be some limited face-to-face meetings, of course, but it has to observe the health protocol really strictly. Yeah. So I believe that there are many positive sides or the silver lining of these situations. We can now understand that uh, some of the tasks, some of the assignments can be done more efficiently, more effectively through digital online learning activities. And this can be continued. In the case of students, they probably use their handphone not only for learning but also for games or for other non-learning activities, maybe just for fun. I think this is the time that parents can play a role. As I mentioned in my presentations, that during this pandemic when students learn at home, parents play an important role, to monitor, to guide, to accompany their children. This is a challenge, yeah, not only for teachers but also for parents. And for teachers, of course, they have to be motivational, as well. Yeah, meaning that they have to show that they are happy. They have to show their students that they are determined, to kill the boredom. Yeah, to kill the boredom, because maybe learning at home is boring for many of the students, but if teachers can show optimism and then can be also creative, like extracurricular activities can also be done online. I knew that some of the schools, yeah, they conduct online competition, uh, like singing, writing poetry, and it was fun. It was lively. Yeah, it can be done through online. Of course, in the future, we hope that we can have a normal life, normal time, normal face-to-face meeting. But I believe there are silver lining of this period, that there are some positive aspects, yeah, that can be continued. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bapak Alpha. And here again, we have another question addressed to Bapak Alpha. You mentioned about a while ago, you mentioned about the characters that may develop by the student and teachers. So the question is from Mr. Firdaus Kotib. How to make student have a good character when we do not interact with the student? Education is to make the student become better character. It is not enough when we just used e-learning.
Okay, thank you very much. Even though we are using a distance learning educations, the interactions is there. This is just because we are not accustomed to doing this. When we are accustomed to doing this, I believe there are many ways, to overcome these problems. Of course, in the future, we might, and then we hope, of course, to have face-to-face meetings, yeah. But I don't think this will happen in the near future because the vaccine of the virus is not available yet. Even if it is available, it's not really tested yet. It's not really successfully tested. So we still have to be careful. I know this is not fun, yeah, but I believe we are slowly adjusting to this kind of situations. And as I mentioned before, there is one research during my presentation I mentioned about some character traits that can be developed during this learning from home, like self-discipline, self-directness, motivation to continue. Of course, those who don't have high motivation, they might fail. Yeah, and then teachers who are not creative, yeah, who are not inspiring, they might also fail during these situations. Yeah, because you have to have strong mentality. You have to be also highly optimistic to deal with these situations. We are gradually adjusting to this, I believe. During the start of the pandemic, many people were panicking, yeah. But now with lots of inspiring webinars, yeah, that deals with these questions not only conceptually but also technically, I believe teachers are gradually adjusting to these situations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sir Alpha. And now we have question addressed to Dr. Margarita Ballesteros. The question is from Ms. Jonna Carla Bien. Since parents have a great role in educating the children nowadays, what about the parents who were not able to attain a good level of education? Those who were not able to access to schooling, those who are not used to using gadgets. Are there mechanisms then to address this concern? This
Hi,
question is
thank you for the question. Just to save energy because the power went off just now from my side. I hope it's okay if you can just hear me. As to mechanisms on how you help yourselves, dear parents, before I'll answer that, let me just throw this back to you as well to reflect on. If you know how to read and write, you don't need to earn a PhD or an EDD or any other higher degrees to teach your children. Our main concern at this time of the pandemic is literacy. We should teach them how to read, write, comprehend what they read, and interact both with the digital platform and also with what has been printed that were given to you. Should you need help, first self-help. If you have access to the internet, there are a lot of things to help parents teach their children from YouTube and from Google. You can search. Second, the Department of Education conducts also training of parents by division, and I think Dr. Medoranda can also help me in this, what Navotas is doing with their parents and with the other divisions as well. Please, if I may beg, please don't throw your responsibilities to those who are not with the children at this time. Your primordial concern, your primary concern is to take advantage of this time to develop a good, a perfect relationship with your kids so that they will love to learn. Maybe you will say it's easy for you to say that. Yes, it's easier said than done, but if you don't try, will DepEd try at this point in time when in fact we are already exhausting our resources not only to help provide quality education to your kids, but also in the other countries as well, you could see and you have heard Indonesia's sharing on how far they have gone in helping and in reaching out to their learners as well as to the other education stakeholders. Number one mechanism would be your desire, your motivation to help your child and to help yourself. Basically, if you want to help your child, first thing first, help yourselves as well. Read, discover the world of our learners, of your children, where they are, what they want, what they are doing, and try to also motivate. You might say, "Oh, I only finished first grader," but you can read, you can write, you can do arithmetic. Oh, I don't have a PhD. Those things you can do away with them because at this point in time, what our children needs is your support and your understanding so they will thrive at this point where the pandemic is still like grouping and is still like affecting all of us in the world. May I ask Dr. Meduranda as well to share what they're doing as regards to reparenting the parents? I know Indonesia with Simeo Chachap has a lot of things and have been doing a lot in terms of taking care of their early childhood and their parents as well. But maybe we can hear from Marco or Dr.
Yes, thank you, Director Marge. No, in SDO Navotas, we communicate the same thing that Director Marge Ballesteros has pointed out. No, we allay their anxiety that they will not be really doing the hardcore teaching for their children, but they will just have to supervise, not to provide a space and just guide their children in home-based learning. They can always contact the teacher, okay, especially those who have access to gadget. Um, and there's this one mechanism also in our division. We call this project tutor a learning child. Actually, this is an intervention because we were able to identify like 300 really marginalized households, and the concern is again how are they going to teach or to guide their children if they are working and some have these issues on their educational background. So we harnessed the spirit of volunteerism in the community. We were able to sign up. No, we were able to encourage almost 300 volunteer tutors, no, in the community, and our dear congressman also provided free gadget, not to these marginalized household, to really to provide support, because we are also very sensitive to equity consideration. So we are showing to the parents, no, especially to those who are very anxious, that we have been providing them with interventions. No, we have been providing them with support. And number one, like what Dr. Marge has mentioned, it's really to seek help. If you find yourself that you are constrained with some assignment of the child, no, you seek help. No, and we have been orienting, no, our schools, no, the teachers, to really provide this constant communication with parents, so that no, in these hard times of the pandemic, no, they'll be able to navigate and to cope well. So it really boils down to ensuring that these communications lines between the learner and the teacher, the parent and the teacher are intact, so that we all be able to allay these apprehensions. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dr. March and also Dr. Marco, for that explanation. And now here we proceed to our next question. We have question here addressed to Mr. Triharinuti. The question is from Mr. Hadid Sulaiman. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Hadid from Muhammadiyah 1 High School, Yogyakarta. Even though online learning offers many advantages, especially due COVID-19 disease, still found of lackness in my perception. One of them is teacher couldn't control students' behavior or attitudes. As we know, controlling of attitudes cannot be separated from teaching for higher school. What are the suggestions to solve these challenges?
I think almost every education institution have this problem. And what the school should do is tightening or build a strong mechanism to make sure that the process of education going run well. Like in my previous explanation, how the school keep in touch along the process, how the school keep in touch with the parents. We use a homeroom teacher counseling to stay connected with students and also parents to remind them to accomplish the task, to follow the learning process well. So the control mechanism, the online process, especially for basic education, because we also educate them to be a mature man, is very crucial. So what we do is making the system control, connecting with the parents, and giving also an advice and also guidance for the parents many times. I think that's.
Thank you so much, Bapak Tri. Okay, we have another question here addressed to Bapak Alfa. From Mr. Burhani, Mr. and Mrs. Burhani. There are many challenges of education in the new normal, such as availability of devices, supervision, etc. How to solve the challenges? And also, we have another question from Miss Ernisa as well, addressed to Bapak Alfa. Bagaimana memotivasi dan meningkatkan semangat belajar siswa dari rumah? Sedangkan belajar dari rumah ini sudah 7 bulan berlalu. Kami khawatir siswa yang tamat tahun ini tidak punya kompetensi yang memadai. Sedangkan tuntutan zaman menginginkan siswa yang punya skill dan karakter. Terima kasih.
Is that for me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. I think every educational institution is having a hard time right now. And then people in the government also understand that many students might not reach ideal competency, because of the lack of time of learning, lack of knowledge, and then the learning activities are not maximized, so that it will be there are people or students who are left behind. But as I mentioned also in my presentations, one of the priorities that schools should adhere to is remedial, for the students who are left behind. Yeah, so remedial for them. It is hard because we are still in the very hard situations right now. But I believe that this is not going to be that long, and then we are still adjusting to this, yeah, gradually. And then to motivate the students, first, I believe that teachers need to be motivating first, yeah. As you have, if if teachers don't have motivations or high motivations, then I don't think they can motivate their students. So first thing first, teachers need to be motivated, yeah. Show their optimism to their students, and have to be very creative, yeah, in finding variety of learning materials, learning activities, yeah, even though it is online based, that can be enjoyed by the students. I know it is hard, yeah, but I will encourage you teachers, to interact with each other, have much more discussion with colleagues, yeah, online or offline, to find um, alternative variety of learning activities that can be joyful and meaningful for our students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bapa Alpha. And this we have another question from Mr. Um, from Rhoda Caneda. So the question is, I am from the Philippines, an elementary teacher in public school. We are using the modular learning with the aid of Messenger class platform, but we have a very low attendance during online interaction because of so many reasons. One is the internet connectivity. Second is most of the parents cannot guide their children because they are working parents. And lastly, some of our parents do not have the intellectual capacity to guide their child. Do you have some suggestion to address this problem? Maybe Sir Marco, you want to add?
Yes,
Some
we were able to cover, or we were able to answer some of the parts of the question a while ago.
Yes.
When it comes to parents who are complaining, or apprehensive on how they can support their children, if even if they do not have a much educational background. And the answer to that was already mentioned by Director Ballesteros. It's, you do not have to be, you don't have to be degree holder to guide your children. And my take on that is, again, uh, at the school level, there are a lot of support mechanisms. There are a lot of interventions, a lot of projects that parents, or guardians can avail, or can access. For instance, here in the division, we have a project Tutor a Learning Child, where a learner is paired with a volunteer tutor, okay, and the tutoring is done remotely also. Um, our division has also provided uh, access to gadgets. No, we have already given 300 plus gadgets to our learners, no, who do not have access to gadgets. So probably in some schools they have initiatives like that, because that's how schools should work now, no, operationalizing the basic education learning continuity plan, which is to really provide access and help, no, and with the help of the community, and they'll be able to provide these needs, no. When it comes to other parts of the question, like for example, how are we going to monitor students' attendance if there is slow internet connectivity, or if there's no internet connectivity? Remember, in the Philippines, we have two modalities. I mean, there are a number of modalities, but it is distance learning. So therefore, when it comes to for those that are using the printed modular distance learning approach, okay, which should be flexible, and it should not be it should not be time bound when it comes to attendance. We have to be flexible with attendance nowadays because what we are implementing is distance learning. Um, uh, if we check the attendance for the purpose of again check following through, following up, that's good. But we do not make attendance compulsory in distance learning, okay? Because we have been providing them with these self-learning modules, and they'll be giving that or submitting that in some specific time. So I don't think that you will have to be much more focused on that. But to ensure student engagement, no, in distance learning, you can come up with like follow up through text, through SMS, okay? So there are actually a lot of ways. But what's important here is to have a menu of interventions. Now, menu of interventions referring to how they are going to help the learners in different contexts. Remember the diversity inside the classroom. No, and you have to understand the level of support, the level of technology access of your learners. So before providing a certain distance learning delivery modality. But like what our secretary has been pointing out, there should be no one size fit all. It has to be some, in distance learning, things becomes individualized, no? Individualized so that you promote this flexibility in learning. Okay, because there are times where I also see this to some of our teachers. The way they think is still the old normal. Now this is now the new normal, and if we want our students to succeed, if we want our students to experience success in distance learning, we have to provide that interventions. We have to know where they are coming from, so that on the modalities that the Department of Education has provided, we can provide them with the necessary instruction. In the Philippines, no, besides print module and online learning, there's also TV based instruction and radio based instruction. Okay, so there's a lot of modalities to choose from. So it's just a matter of really communicating that, no, ensuring that there's no communication breakdown between the teacher and the household. And at the school level, I believe that they are, there's this creativity, there's this innovation that's going on. And for teachers, no, trying to find answer for these challenges, you have to also collaborate with your co-teachers, no, with the school, no, at the school level, for you to be able to again enrich your repertoire of strategies.
Thank you so much, Sir Marco. Here we have last question from Mr. Oloan Siragar. This question may answer by any of our speakers. So the question is how to produce the ideal character during home learning to our students, especially elementary grade. I found so many students really difficult to show respect, discipline, caring, and responsibility. From our speakers, who would like to answer it first? How to produce an ideal character for students?
Maybe we would like to hear from the Philippines experience first.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir. In the Philippines, no, still, no, we have streamlined the curriculum, and we want the character, the 5 C's that I have pointed out in the framework of the region, the 5 C's: character, critical thinking. But in the question, it's about the ideal character in this context, no, in this context of the pandemic. It might be a challenging task, no. It really depends on the quality of the learning activities, no, that the teacher will be crafting to promote that kind of engagement, okay, among the students could be somehow reflective in nature. No, if the teacher is able to craft activities that would allow them to reflect, okay, about their character, and again, promote activities wherein there should be interaction, and the task is all home-based, I guess you will be providing opportunities there to develop the character that we want, no, our students to become. No? In the Philippines, we have this makadiyos, makakalikasan, makabayan, and makabansa. So God-fearing, nationalistic, again, makabansa, have love for the environment. So these are the basic values, no, that we are trying to teach our learners. On the curriculum side, we have also been practicing cross-curricular integration, so that students, no, do not just pick up, values incoherently. So there will be a thematic values from the self-learning modules that runs across the learning areas, and probably by preparing that creating the self-learning modules in that process, cross-curricular in approach, okay, with emphasis on values formation, you'll be able to reinforce that message on the self-learning modules. Okay, but again, this will require collaboration, no, and cooperation among the teacher, the parent, and the learner. Okay, so that you'll be able to emphasize that idea, that concept, that values, no, or character education should not be left behind, should not be, I mean, put at the sideline in this time of delivering basic education in the pandemic time. No, it's still very, very vital. No, actually, distance learning has really streamlined, no, our competencies, and it's now really gearing towards the depth and vision of instilling that values and competencies among our students. But again, it would be challenging. It would require really curriculum innovation, okay? And we have been doing that through cross-curricular integration, but it would still be requiring also research, no, continuous improvement, no, in the process of teaching values or character education in distance learning context.
Thank you so much, sir. How about our speakers from Indonesia?
Maybe Patri has some experiences to share.
Mungkin Pak Alfa, mungkin kami minta yang lebih senior, Pak. Pak Alfa. Yang
Yeah.
Pak Alfa.
Okay, thank you again. I think the questions are almost the same as the previous questions. I mean, this deals with the motivations, lack of motivation, lack of respect. Yeah, this is really a challenge not only for you but also for us, for everyone here. Yeah, and I believe in one way or another we can deal with that as long as we are patient enough and creative. And as our colleague from the Philippines said, also not only that, not only being patient, not only being tough, but also being creative in adjusting the curriculum. So in that case, find many more meaningful and joyful activities for students so that they can enjoy. Yes, of course, and for elementary school, it will be hard also. It needs probably much more effort, to guide them, to accompany them, to make sure that they are learning accordingly, not playing that much, and then if you feel that they don't give you enough respect, we have to understand that they are still very young, elementary schools, yeah. And maybe they get bored at home. So give them lots of things to do, yeah, lots of things to play with, but in a meaningful and enlightening manner. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pa Alpha. And that was the last question we have. Again, we would like to say thank you very much to all the speakers and also to our participants who've been very active in this webinar. So now, before we end this webinar, and before we hear the closing message, may I request everyone to please open their videos. Let's have a picture together. This is our new normal now. So please, may I ask everyone to please open their videos and allow me to have a screenshot from here. Okay, in a count of 3. 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay. One more. 1, 2, and 3, and smile. Again, so we still have here some participants who's not turning on their videos. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and smile. And 1, 2, 3, and smile. Ayun. Thank you so much. And now let us hear the closing remarks or message from our lovely Education and Culture Attaché, Dr. Lily Nurlaili.
Thank you, Mbak Manet. Terima kasih banyak. Thanks, Dok Margarita Balesteros, because you want to leaving now. You have another webinar with Bangkok. Thanks a lot with the good presentation, because that is make explanation about the policy in Philippines and then the policy in this situation in Indonesia from Dr. Alfa Amirahman. And then we know about the policy for Indonesia. We have a new curriculum for this situation, and then we don't have a national assessment, and then we have a Merdeka Belajar. And Philippines, we have a lot of policy too for this situation. And Dr. Alfa Amirahman, not only Sekjen from Dikdasmen Muhammadiyah, but he is also the director Shyamolek. Thank you, Dr. Alfa Amirahman, because you are attending and then a beautiful presentation today. Give explanation about the education in Indonesia. And then Dr. Margarita Balesteros, give explanation about the policy for this situation in Philippines. And for Bapak Tri Hari Nurdi, thank you very much because you give explanation what the implementation in the field, in the classroom, especially in SMA Muhammadiyah. And then the Dr. Marco Meduranda, thank you a lot because that is a beautiful presentation too, together with the video and then a lot of things. And then you send me 1 gigabyte the presentation. It's very good. It means you are prepared. Everything is beautiful. It is a lot of information because all of the participants today, nearly 300. That is a participant today. Nearly 300. They are know about the policy, education because the situation in Indonesia and Philippines. And I hope because this morning I hear from the television in Indonesia, the Ministry of Health talked to the television, we must still using mask until 2022. I don't know because it is maybe for this situation. And I hope the vaccine of COVID is maybe for next year or this year we have already because the research is still continue to have the vaccine. The important thing, you must still a lot of energize. you must have a lot of creativity, and then don't to panic to using online teaching learning. Maybe teaching learning online is not look like the offline learning, but because of this situation, you must still keep energized to continue teaching learning. Okay, thanks a lot to all participants, 300 participants, and then especially for all of the speaker today. More of the participant talk to me. This today the speaker is very beautiful, very good explanation and description about education based on this situation of pandemic COVID. Thank you again, all speaker and all participant. Terima kasih dengan mengucapkan Alhamdulillahirobbil alamin. Saya tutup webinar internasional hari ini bekerja sama dengan Dikdasmen Muhammadiyah and then Kementerian Pendidikan Filipina yang sudah melakukan kegiatan dengan sangat menarik dan bermanfaat buat semuanya. Terima kasih. Maraming salamat.
Thank you so much, Ibu Lily. And that's the end of our webinar today. Thank you very much and have a nice day ahead.
Thank you
Terima kasih, Bu Lili.
Terima kasih, Pak Alfa, Pak Trihardi. Thank you, Dr. Marco, your beautiful presentation, Pak Alfa, Pak Trihari. Thank you. This is on your school,
Mr. Alpha.
Meduranda. This is on your school.
Mr.
The background.
Marco.
This is the office. Yeah, the office near our school, near the school. Yeah.
Oke. Saya sudah mengajar batik di sekolahnya Meduranda. Yes. Halo. Thank you. You are attending.
Terima kasih.
Thanks everyone.
Terima kasih Bunda Lili.
Terima kasih. Selamat ya Budi, Marili Dokius, Sony Bahtiar, Olowan Siregar. Terima kasih.
Thank you so much.
Bapak Limarten Simatupang.
Terima kasih Bu Lili.
Ya, dia sedang S3 di PWU, Philippine Women University.
Oh.
Ada 4 orang dari Manado ya Pak ya?
Dari Manado dan dari Medan, Ibu.
Dari Manado dan dari Medan. Beasiswa dari Departemen Agama.
Agama.
Ya.
Oh, hebat.
Dan, thank you. Terima kasih.
Bapak Ibu dari Sekolah Madrasah
banyak
Muhammadiyah
sekali.
yang sudah hadir hari ini dari Guru Muhammadiyah. Terima kasih. Semoga bermanfaat kita semua ya.
Ya, minggu depan masih ada lagi ya Pak ya?
Ada, kita akan undang lagi untuk membuka wawasan, membuka silaturahim. Yang penting silaturahim.
Ya, yang penting silaturahim. Terima kasih banyak atas partisipasinya semuanya.
Ya.
Semua materi dan sertifikat sudah di-share ya. Terima kasih. Saya live dulu ya, mau sholat zuhur.
Badai